Nurses are waiting too long to sell, and it is costing you everything. Every day a nurse waits to sell their expertise is another day the market pays someone less qualified to do what they already know. This episode names the real reason nurses keep stalling, exposes the invisible belief system fueling it, and delivers a 3-step framework for getting into more revenue right now, before they feel ready. There is a nurse somewhere right now, and I'm not talking about some hypothetical nurse. I mean a real person, probably with letters behind her name, probably with 15 to 20 years at the bedside, who is sitting on expertise that organizations are actively paying someone else to teach them right now, today. And that nurse is not in that room. They're not getting that contract. They're not cashing that check, but they are polishing their website. They are tweaking their bio. They are taking one more certification they do not actually need. They're doing everything except for the one thing that changes the financial trajectory of their life. They are not selling. And here's what I need you to understand before we go anywhere else today. The wait is not neutral. Every single day you delay making an offer is the day you hand your income potential to someone else who is willing to show up before they felt ready. The truth is, you are not waiting because you are unprepared. You are waiting because nobody ever taught you that prepared and ready are not the same thing. Today, that changes. I'm Dr. V, Dr. Viola Pierce, Doctor of Nursing Practice, CEO of VP Nursing. I host the Millionaire Nurse CEO podcast, and on this show, we help nurse leaders and experts unleash income working from anywhere, building profitable nurse coaching, consulting, and service-based businesses. And if you are new here, welcome home. This is the place where we do not sugarcoat. We do not hand you empty affirmations. We bring you strategy, we bring you truth, and we bring you the frameworks that moves the needle. And y'all, this episode right here, I need y'all to hear this one, because I have been in rooms with some of the most decorated, most credentialed, most brilliant nurses I have ever seen in my career. CNOs, DNPs, NPs with 20 plus years. And the number one thing I see holding them back is not skill, it's not market demand, it's not pricing, it's the stall, it's the wait, it's the invisible holding pattern they put themselves in right before money should be coming in. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Dr. V, I just need to get a few more things together first. I need my website to be right. I need to nail down my niche. I need to get a few more testimonials under my belt. I hear you. I genuinely do. But I want you to listen to what you just said. You just listed a set of requirements you invented that have to be met before you allow yourself to make money. And so the question I'm going to push back on today is, who taught you that list? Because I promise you, the person who took away your first consulting contract 5 years ago, the one who built the 7-figure business you're following on Instagram, they didn't wait for that list to be complete. They sold while the list was still growing. Here's the deal. The market does not reward readiness. The market rewards offers. And a nurse who makes an imperfect offer today will always out-earn a nurse who is perfecting a pitch they haven't sent yet. This is the deal for today. I'm going to give you the real reasons nurses stall before selling, walk you through the 3 invisible belief systems fueling it, and then give you a framework to get into revenue this week. Not next month, not when the website is done, this week. And hey, if you're getting something out of this today, go ahead and like this episode. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment. Tell me, what's the one thing you've been wanting to have in place before you start selling? I read every single one. All right, let's get into it. The first thing we have to name, and I mean actually name, not just acknowledge, is what waiting is costing you in real numbers. I want to do some math with y'all for a second, and stay with me, because this is not motivational math. This is diagnostic math. If you have a skill that the market values at $2,500 for a day of consulting, and most of you are sitting on expertise worth far more than that, and you could sell just one consulting day per week, that is $130,000 a year. When you wait 12 months to make your first offer, you don't just lose one sale, you lose $130,000 in potential, and you don't get that year back. Now multiply that by the number of nurses I know personally who've waited 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they made their first offer. I'm telling you this, the income you are not earning right now is not abstract, it has a number. I call this the revenue delay syndrome. And it's real because it's not just the money you didn't make last year, it's about the momentum you didn't build, the reputation you didn't establish, the clients who went somewhere else and told 5 people about a competitor you never gave yourself a chance to compete against. Revenue delay syndrome doesn't just pause your income, it compounds your absence from the market. And here's what makes it worse. The nurses I see struggling with this the most are not the ones with the least expertise. They are consistently the most qualified people in the room, the most credentialed, the most studied. Turns out, more education doesn't cure the stall, it actually feeds it. Now that's the cost, but here's what's even more important. The reason it keeps happening, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The first reason nurses are waiting too long to sell is what I call the setup stall. And the setup stall is sneaky because it looks like productivity. You are working, you are busy, you are doing things, you are building something. But every time you get close to the offer, close to sending the email, close to putting the price on the page, close to saying, here's how we can help you together, something else needs to happen first. The logo isn't finalized yet. The website still needs work. You want to rebrand before you even present the offer. The signature doesn't look professional enough. The program needs one more module, just one more, and then you'll be ready. And while you're perfecting all of that, someone else just signed a client with a Canva logo and a Google Doc. And I know what y'all are thinking right now, but Dr. V, those things are important, and they are. I'm not saying they're not, but I want you to ask yourself something honest. Are those things important, or are those things comfortable? Because the truth is, setup tasks feel safe. They have clear completion criteria. You know when the logo is done, you know when the module is finished, but making an offer has a variable ending. Someone might say no. And that uncertainty, that's what the setup stall is actually protecting you from. Let me tell you something. I was working with a nurse practitioner, had her DNP, 20 years in cardiology, and she had been working on her consulting business for 8 months. 8 months. When I asked her what she sold, she looked at me and said, I haven't made an offer yet. I'm still building the foundation. 8 months. And a foundation that never sees a client is not a foundation, it's a wall. Setup without selling is not a business. It's a hobby with good branding. The setup stall is real, but here's where it actually comes from. And this is the part most people never get to. The second root cause of why nurses are waiting too long to sell is something I want to name very specifically, because once you hear this, it will change how you see every hesitation you've had. I call it the permission pendulum. And here is what it looks like in real life. You work at the bedside or in leadership for years. You are trained in a system where every significant action requires an order, a cosign, a supervisor, a committee review. Not because you're not capable, but because that is the clinical and organizational structure you operate in. And that is appropriate in that context. A nurse does not independently prescribe or perform procedures without the appropriate authority structure. That's the system. And it's good for that reason. But here's what happens when that nurse steps out of the clinical structure and into entrepreneurship. They bring that pendulum with them. They look for someone to tell them they're ready. They look for a mentor to say, go. They wait for a certification body to validate the offer. They want the program to be reviewed before they sell it. They keep asking, consciously or not, for permission that no one in entrepreneurship is authorized to give. Now, I know some of you are sitting with that and you're feeling a little something, maybe a little defensive, maybe a little seen. Both are okay, but I want you to hear me. I'm not saying the instinct is wrong. I'm saying the instinct is trained, and trained instincts can be retrained. The permission structure of clinical nursing is not the operating system of a business. When you carry it over, it doesn't protect quality, it delays revenue. And so the nurses who get out fastest, who start selling fastest, who start building income fastest, they're not more qualified, they're not more confident, they simply made a decision and stopped waiting for the sign off. In entrepreneurship, the sign off is the offer. You give yourself permission by making the ask. And that matters. Because here's the third thing, and this one is the one I see most nurses completely miss. The third reason nurses are waiting too long to sell is the one that stings a little. And I'm going to say it with all the love I have, because this one is keeping some of y'all broke right now. It is what I call the audience illusion. And here's the lie at the center of it. I need more followers before I can sell. Now listen, growing your audience matters. More eyes on your offer absolutely can lead to clients, contracts, and income. But it should not be the reason why you're not having sales conversations every single day. Because here is what is actually true. Your next client may not wait for your following to grow. They may be in your phone right now. They may be in your LinkedIn message that you have not sent. They may be one conversation away. The audience builds the business long term, but the conversation closes the deal today. It's coming from a conversation, a referral, a colleague who saw your work and said, "Can you come in and do that for us?" It's coming from the room you're already in. The audience you need to get your first sale already exists. It's the people who already know what you can do. I know what some of y'all are thinking, but Dr. V, I want to build a brand. I want to have an audience. I want to scale. And yes, all of that is real. All of that matters. And all of that will come. But here's the mistake. People are using audience building as a reason not to sell yet, as if revenue has to wait for reach. The audience illusion keeps nurses building reach when what they actually need to be building is pipeline. Reach is for scale. Pipeline is for survival. And right now, some of y'all are building reach while your bank account is waiting on a pipeline that doesn't exist yet. Now, we've got the three things: the setup stall, the permission pendulum, the audience illusion. But here's where this all comes together, because I want to give you the framework that cuts through all three. Before I give you the framework, I want to be clear about something, because there's a story some of y'all have been telling yourself that needs to be put to bed forever. The nurse who starts selling before they feel completely ready are not reckless. They are not underprepared. They are not cutting corners on quality or integrity. They made one decision differently. Instead of waiting for certainty, they decided that imperfect action generates the feedback that perfect preparation never could. Every sale you make teaches you more about your offer than a month of solo refinement ever will. The market is the best product developer you will ever hire, and the market will not speak to you until you give it something to respond to. I have seen nurses close five-figure contracts. I mean, contracts in the range of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, with offers that were still being developed. The contract funded the development. That is how business actually works. This is not a shortcut. This is the mechanism. And before someone out there says, "But Dr. V, what if I don't deliver?" Here's the truth. You are a nurse. Under-delivering is not your issue. Over-promising without selling at all is. The quality concern is not the reason you're stalling. Fear of rejection is. And we're going to name that honestly and then move past it. This is where it changes everything. Let me give you the now framework. Here it is. The framework I use with nurses who are ready to stop stalling and start selling. I call it the now framework. N stands for name your offer. O stands for own the conversation. W stands for work the room you're in. 3 steps. Let's go through all 3. N, name your offer. This is a step that most nurses skip or rush past. They have a general sense of what they want to do. I want to consult on quality improvements, or I want to coach nurse leaders. But they have never written down in plain language what they offer, who it's for, what it delivers, and what it costs. An unnamed offer is not an offer. It is an idea, and you cannot sell an idea. You can only sell an offer. When you name your offer, I mean specifically, write the deliverables, write the outcome, write the price. You take it from a concept in your head to a product in the market. That is step one, and you can do it today. O is own the conversation. Owning the conversation means you stop waiting for buyers to find you and start initiating the conversations that leads to contracts. This is where the permission pendulum gets broken. Because the act of initiating a conversation, reaching out to a hospital system, emailing a DON, sending a LinkedIn message to a VP of HR, the act is the permission you've been waiting for someone else to give you. You give it to yourself by sending the message. The truth is, most organizations that need your expertise are not running ads for it. They don't know to look for you. Owning the conversation means you show up in their inbox before they know to search for you. W, work the room you're in. That is the antidote to the audience illusion. Working the room you're in means your first sales push is not a content strategy. It is a contact activation. Look at your phone right now. Look at your LinkedIn. Look at every professional relationship you've ever built over the last decade. Those are not just connections. Those are potential buyers, referral sources, and champions. Revenue does not require new relationships. Revenue requires new conversations with relationships you already have. When you apply the NOW framework, name the offer, own the conversation, work the room you're in, what changes is this. You stop organizing your business from a place of readiness and start building it from a place of action. And action is where revenue lies. Here's what I want you to do this week. Not next month, this week. Action step number 1. Write your offer in one paragraph. Not a deck, not a full proposal, one paragraph. State what you do, who you do it for, what they walk away with, and what it costs. When you do this, you activate the N in the NOW framework, and you move from idea to offer in 20 minutes. Action step number 2, identify 10 people in your existing network. Pull up LinkedIn, pull up your phone contacts, go through your professional email. Identify 10 people who know your work, former supervisors, colleagues, hospital administrators, community partners, people who have seen what you do up close. These are not cold prospects. These are warm relationships waiting to become revenue conversations. When you build this list, you've just activated the W in the NOW framework. Action step number 3, send 20 outreach messages, not 100, 20. A personal, professional message with 2 to 3 sentences. Tell them what you're working on, ask if they know someone who could use what you do, or ask directly if it's appropriate. 20 messages. When you send 20, you're activating the O in the NOW framework. And every single response, positive or not, is feedback that your offer needs. Action step number 4, set a date for your first sales conversation. Not a maybe, not a when I'm ready, a date. Put it on the calendar. Because here's what happens when you set the date. Everything else organizes around it. Your offer gets cleaner. Your messaging gets sharper. Revenue delay syndrome ends the moment you commit to a conversation date. And this one matters. If you want a room full of nurse leaders who are doing this work together, who are selling, who are building, who are closing contracts while you're watching, I want you to come to our next live training. Comment the word sale below this episode and we will send you over the details to our next live training. Now here's what we covered today. Revenue delay syndrome is real. It is costing you a number you can calculate and it's not random. It comes from 3 very specific belief systems: the setup stall, the permission pendulum, and the audience illusion. And the framework to move through all 3 is NOW. Name your offer, own the conversation, work the room you're in. The nurses who build income fastest are not the most credentialed people in the room. They are the most willing to act before certainty arrives. I'm telling you this with all my heart. You already have what it takes to make an offer. Not next quarter, not when the website is perfect, now. T.D. Jakes said it best. Favor isn't coming to the people who are getting ready. Favor finds people in motion. Y'all, thank you for being here today. If this episode hit, share it with a nurse who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already and leave me a comment. Tell me which of the three, the setup stall, the permission pendulum, or the audience illusion, has been running your life. I want to know. I read every comment. I'm Dr. V. This is the Millionaire Nurse CEO podcast. And until next time, build something that outlasts the badge.